Hello and good evening, beautifuls. My name is Raine Ford. Welcome to my channel of Mountain Woman Medicine. If this is your first time here, welcome. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of tea. Uh, I like to talk with folks here like we are sharing a cup of tea and sitting on the mountainside, or I am sitting in your space and we're talking some real talk. And if you've been here before and you're back again, welcome back. Hope you're settling in. And I'd like to talk to you this evening for a few moments about the Scorpio full moon that's coming up on Monday the 12th of May. It's 22 degrees of Scorpio, this full moon is. And I want to give you just a little bit of kind of like what's the vibe check-in? What is the atmospheric feel of this energy? If you know me, you know that I appreciate working the most from the inside out, meaning that I work with things like astrology and human design and gene keys and emotional bridges and I Ching and cardology to play with and more deeply understand the nuances of what can be experienced through others, so that I can more deeply understand the threads of connection. To me, these create pathways to better understand ourselves and each other. To me, a route of powerful steps forward into new ways of being. And then after that little bit of a vibe check-in, I want to be able to give you just a little bit of a brief overview of the transit information. So I'll dance through a few of those realms I mentioned. And if you're a person who plays in those realms, you may be able to track where I'm going. And then I will dive more into the meanings behind them rather than getting too lost in the technological sauce, so to speak. And then we'll wrap up with some practices and some things that we can do during this time. This feels very ripe with potential. So here's a bit of the vibe. I'm sort of playing off the cuff here because I can feel it in my cells, and I'm trusting that this time and this energy is going to break it down in a way that can be heard however it will. So this vibe that we're stepping into with this full moon is a little bit like if you ever was to be in a dream and all of a sudden there's something really crazy happening. You're supposed to like go up on stage, except that you don't have any underwear on and no clothes, and you're standing there with a washcloth, and you're supposed to be standing there getting ready to talk on a microphone in a few minutes, and you're like, and it's this freeze, and it's like all the horrors of every sort of insecurity, challenge to your worth, values, your ability to speak, everything's being choked. And it's, what are you going to do next? Are you going to freeze and croak and run away and stay constricted? Or can you breathe into this moment and find a way through? I mean, in my own cells, it has this mixed reaction of like, and okay, well, what would I do? Well, let me see. I guess beneath all of our clothes, we're all naked, so it's really not that crazy. And well, it might need some explaining or not, right? So there's this: how am I going to shape my story? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? How am I going to be with the moment that just happened? And how am I going to be with what it made me feel like to be that kind of vulnerable without warning, without choice? The vibe of this period is where we get to explore where we've betrayed ourselves or we've been betrayed by others. And it's still hanging in that energy field. It's still hanging in our memory. It's still warping our narrative. It's shaping our stories. It's constricting our voice. It's making us deaf to what could be heard. 22 degrees of Scorpio is where this full moon is. That means Scorpio is a fixed sign. It's a powerful moon, and I'm going to get into why it's especially powerful here in a couple moments. For the moment, lean into it's a strong moon, and that means that the other three signs that are in the fixed capacity that are at 22 degrees will also be getting this recalibration opportunity. What that looks like, so we have the full moon. I'm just looking at my notes here as I'm speaking. The full moon at Scorpio at 22 degrees is gate 43 in Gene Key's Human Design, right? It's one of the hearing gates. It's how we listen. It's the shadow of deafness. It's the gift of insight. And it's the city of epiphany. It's how we break down and understand things for ourselves. How do we break down what happened? How do we make sense of how we've betrayed ourselves? How do we make sense of how someone else has betrayed them and that's somehow okay, right? We get to wrangle with a thing that may be very hard for us to grasp. This is Scorpio. Scorpio is like digging into the guts of a thing, like really getting in there and like turning things inside out, not to break us, to awaken us, to assist and support us in transforming pain and pleasure into forward movements. Scorpio is a very sexual energy. It's also very much this exploration and deeper delving into what's behind the pain. Why am I feeling this pain? Where is this coming from? Oh goodness, I'm now feeling it 10 times more because I'm thinking about it. Well, the thing is the more we explore our pain and listen to the messages that it's sharing with us, the more we can do something with it. The more we can have compassion for ourselves inside and out, the more we can relate and have compassion with and for another. Sometimes we cannot get out of the things that we are feeling. Sometimes we can make powerful choices, and maybe we should, and we hesitate to. There are many pathways in which our world may play out. I am a strong believer in it is how we walk through those places and spaces that make us or break us. And a quick apology in this moment. Normally, I wouldn't wear a hat as I'm speaking in this way, as it's a different kind of a connection. And I'm sitting in a little bit of a colder space. The electricity is out in half of this house, tracking down some electrical problems. So I am dressed for warmth and the ability to be with and have this one little nook where I was able to run an extension cord and have electricity over here to be with you this evening. Just wanted to give you that little piece of things. These times have been challenging the ability for energy to move. Right? It can happen physically, it can happen electrically, it can happen in all sorts of ways. So we are also looking at Scorpio, Leo, Taurus, and Aquarius. Those are the 4 fixed signs that are going to be feeling this energy the most, right? The most would be the Scorpio and the Taurus, because Taurus is opposite of Scorpio. So they can feel this intensely. And because it's Taurus, this might be in the mind. This might be headaches. This might be challenges to our thinking. This might be getting or feeling confused or like not being aware of a thing, depending on where we are in relation to how our body moves through space and time and what our soul is calling us to do. That's kind of like a 3-point trajectory with an awareness of how it moves. It's I don't have time and space in this moment to explain the hows behind it. And what I'm speaking about is a little bit of the relational quantum that can happen when we can understand multiple lenses and trajectories of ourselves and others at the same time and be with whatever is flowing out from that. It's calling into a deeper being. With the Leos, it's gate 4. It's all around intolerance and understanding and forgiveness. With the Taurus side of things, it's gate 23. It's complexity and simplicity and quintessence. With gate 49, it's about breaking things apart. It's about revolutionizing and moving through emotional reactivity. It's gate 49 in Aquarius. It's breaking us open into the whirlwind. And Gene Keys, the whirlwind, gate 55. Well, the whirlwind is the codon ring, which is 55 and 49. And they are what breaks open all of the victim states of all 64. It just cries out in such a way that resonates. And what I mean when I say that is that even in its shadow state, it can speak so harshly that it breaks through someone's fantastical perspective about something and shocks them open to a reality that may not have been what the speaker intended and still is shocking nonetheless. Places of shock and suddenness and reactivity, all of it is fodder for the gristmill of evolution, as well as our gifts, right? When our gifts are engaged and we are aware of our shadows and we're dancing with them and reaching beyond only them, then we enter into this state of being able to move that energy towards something, right? I love human design for its ability to give me a black and white kind of mechanical understanding of where does this reside inside of my being so I can become responsible and take accountability for it. And then I love the Gene Key perspective for a 3-point perspective: a shadow, a shine, a gift, an essence, a city, a way of understanding movement from us to us and coming through us. And so it's this 3, it bursts the binary. It steps into a 3-dimensional perspective where it is not only about us. It's not only about Raine and what little Raine wants. It's about little Raine and expanded Raine. It's about body-based Raine, and it's about the most expanded version of myself. I don't even know what that could look like yet. Surrendering to every day, I don't know what that could look like, can bring me into such a place where I get a kind of curiosity that helps pull me out of the seriousness and judgment that this world and my age have brought me to an awareness of. These fixed signs bring with them a deep difficulty in being able to understand what it is that is going on a cellular level, because the fixed energy is meant to hold. It holds the anchor. It's the foundation of lighthouses. It's the things that are solid and rooted in the ground. So there is no trying to crack it open. There is simply allowing. And we'll get into that a little bit later with the practices. I want to orient with it where we're speaking about specifically. So we've got Scorpio, the full moon, in gate 43. That Scorpio energy is bringing up a lot of aspects around betrayal. Pluto, that's over in Aquarius and is in retrograde now, that's in gate 41, which is a start codon ring. It is how the whole 64 sequence, the I Ching sequence, begins anew. It's a start codon. We also have an ending codon. We'll get to that in a moment. And that's part of why it's so powerful, is that we have a start of something and an ending of something, all happening inside of one day. Pluto, gate 41, the starting of things, it's in retrograde. So we're starting to unearth deeper pieces inside of our underworld. And so we're also talking there about betrayal, a deep kind of betrayal, a betrayal where there's a soul kind of betrayal. So Scorpio might be a little bit more on the human side, even though it's also transmutational, and the Pluto is very deep in that capacity. So It is very much about where have we betrayed ourselves, where have we been betrayed by others, and where is that still lingering in our field? And where, when we lean into that and feel into that for a moment, and we feel that well up, or that slight disturbance underneath of the rock wall that we built to pack it down, or the shattering grief that we might feel if sadness is very high in our world. All of these things can be a fuel where we allow ourselves to feel that. Okay, so that might mean, setting yourself a ceremonial space. Each of these dynamics I'm going to be speaking about, and I realize I'm getting into it. Let me pull back just for a quick moment. Let me finish giving the sketch. Outlines, then details. Okay, so Scorpio, full moon side of things. We're looking at wholeness, not reactions. It's also exploring where we are experiencing all those betrayals that are still lingering. And Pluto's also doing the same thing. We have in the Scorpio full moon side of things, not only do we have this moon, this full moon, this completion cycle. What is it that we are releasing around what we've held on to or what's been lingering around betrayals, and also is of higher priority. Higher meaning we're now talking about a lens stack of 3, not a lens stack of 1 anymore. Now we're talking about the Scorpio full moon in relationship to the yod that is being formed, which is a finger of God or a finger of fate, right? It points to something that is very powerful, that is moving things through space and time. And that's Chiron over in Aries, Chiron, our wounding, and the initiation point. What created the wound? Discovery, exploration. And Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter being our wisdom, being our luck, where we form our laws, where we form our code, and Gemini being our mental capacity for how we're creating that and then bringing it to thought form. So that is the yod that is happening with the Scorpio full moon. We also have a Pluto in retrograde that is squaring, which is a challenge point, Mercury, voice, in Taurus, which is like our comforts and our and how our mind is wrapping around things. And that's in gate 3. Right. So Pluto in gate 41 is squaring with Taurus in gate 3. And so Taurus in gate 3 is chaos and innovation. Chaos being things that don't have structure and form. They're not fitting into any kind of structure, which means it's over here, and then it's over here, and it's over here, and it's over here, and then it's over here, and it doesn't remember this, and it doesn't remember this, and so it just does. It's like a Tasmanian devil spinning around, and it's this enormous display, like almost like a fireworks going off in the sky. And innovation is the one that comes along and goes, okay, and if we organized it like this, we could actually have fireworks in the sky. We could not have the Tasmanian devil running into things. We could have this and then this and then this, even though we understand that it comes from over here and over here and over here. We've brought it into a structure that can be shared and worked with. It has an innovation to it. So in all of these aspects, we are looking at, in all these aspects, we are looking at the beginning and endings of things. We are looking at the invitation to reshape things, not be broken by them. We're being invited to open into, not constrict and run from the challenges that are coming up. And whatever it is that's coming up for you now, for me, I'm recording this at almost 11 o'clock on the 9th of May. It is Friday evening. It was an apothecary working day. I also may have found a car. I will be going to the DMV tomorrow, and if cross my fingers all goes to plan, we will have a mountain vehicle. And I'll be able to bring wellness to different places and be a part of community in deeper ways than I have for years. So many transformational things, right? Ending of old ways. I will no longer have the luxury of not tending to vehicles, which has been a luxury. I do not like tending to vehicles. And I am learning a new love for it because of what it brings. So the beginning of a thing, whatever is real in your world. This might be relationships. This might be your own relationship to your body, to your sexuality, to education, to where you want to flow and move in life. You can also see where it might be hitting in your world by looking at where you have placements for Pluto, Chiron, Scorpio. Well, Pluto, Chiron, Jupiter, and Mercury. And look at where your moon is as well, because your moon will be where the full moon in the transit will be giving a reflection to, right? So in mirror work, so like, it's an interesting subject, right? If our chart is this, and the transit chart of whatever the day is this, then what's happening is that they are reflecting onto this transit chart is like beaming energy to this stationary point. We were born under a stationary point in time. In human design, gene key side of world, there is lost my train of thought. Time for a sip of tea. Nourish adrenal tea. Feel it tickling all my cells. It's a nice blend of nervines and demulcents. Adrenal gland feeders. Okay, let's come back to this. Gate 12, down in Jupiter, where Jupiter is in Gemini, part of that yod, that finger of fate. That gate 12 is what's called the last trial. It's a stop codon. So there's one start codon, that's gate 41, and there are 3 stop codons, 11, 56, and 12. Each one of them represent a point by which our world gets to get checked. 12 is the last one. And 12 is where we get to look at our own vanity, when we get to look at how we get so confused by being in these forms that we forget, we keep forgetting what we were here for in a deeper way. The other day I was singing this song, Remember, Remember. I was at a Crone conference here in Binghamton. And it was quite lovely, and I was honored to be a part of it. And they were singing a song that's near and dear to my heart, and I hadn't really heard in a number of years. Remember, remember where you come from. Remember, remember who you are. For time is a river, and we are flowing from here on the earth to beyond the stars. Remember. I can keep going. And as I walked through the next days, thinking about remembering, 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 it is said that those who travel in a spiritual world, a spiritual path, and who are initiated along certain pathways, go through a dismembering where they are ripped apart in one way, shape, or form. That could be through violent illness, through breaking of bones, through damage and trauma, through horrific experiences. And they have a dismembering at a very young age of who they are, what their identity is, how they come to know who they are. And so when I look at the other side of that and I go, remembering, it's like putting ourselves back together again, bringing ourselves home. Where have we lost a piece of ourselves, taken, stolen, given up, traded, exchanged, whatever the reasons are? It doesn't matter, meaning there's no shame in that process, even though that may be a thing that is really in the way of that piece coming home. I am also saying, whatever the reason of why and how those pieces aren't home is not the point here. It's about coming to terms with it. It's about seeing it and accepting it and inviting it back. We have the ability in this time period, most profoundly, to be able to deeply step into pulling all parts of ourselves home in a powerful way. I'd like to ground us in with some practices here for a few moments. One of the first things I want to play with is this concept of how to feel. I know maybe it sounds a little silly, and it is a thing that I have met and experienced even in my own self around, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm fine. And knowing, like, in my mind, I gave myself an acronym years ago to remember that every time I said I'm fine, it's like a masking word. It's like grabbing a word and just like covering it over, because fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and existential can live behind the mask of fine. Although when everybody asks you how you doing, but nobody really wants to know, we develop mechanisms, right? We develop social protocols, standing etiquette that's designed to survive. It's not necessarily designed to thrive. That's what this work is about. How can we survive and thrive continually? And more, of course. Some very practical practices. Number one, cry. Move your fluids. Drink a lot of water. Pee often. Especially if you're a woman, have orgasmic fluid-making sex with yourself or with a loved one who feels good and safe and connectable with for yourself. That release, that opening, that gushing, that movement of is very Scorpio energy. It's very much a physical, biological way of moving that energy that will also have with it an emotional release, right? Crying has emotions behind it, deep sexuality, and that flow of release has with it an emotional release as well. Here's a piece for a mental practice. Do your best to mentally become aware of where you try to be too good, too clever for your own britches. Meaning, don't let your mind get so clever that it talks you right out of the concept that you don't know everything. As soon as your mind starts to think that it knows everything, it's a downhill slope from there. So I invite you to play with understanding that the cleverness of the mind is very much also a thing that tries to step in the way in this process. We don't have to let it. We can simply go, ah, I see you. Yep. Thank you, cleverness. And surrender a little more. Lean into it a little more. Ask, where do I feel this in my body? What does this feel like? What could this be telling me? If you keep asking those three questions over and over again, where do I feel this in my body? What could this be telling me? These are questions that help to guide us, help us to continue to be present so that our own energy can guide us to the place where that energy is holding us in place, where we are stuck. We might get an image of something when we can continue to be there and be patient. It might take a few moments. It might not even happen the first time you try. The more you continue to show up for yourself, the more yourself will trust you to be there for yourself. And if your life has been hard, it may take some time. During moments like what's coming up on the Monday, the 12th, with this full moon, we have like the potentiality to do like 100 times more effort inside of one experience because of the energies that are in play along with us. This is a time to discover and rewrite your narrative. How are you going to hold and tell the story of how your life has been to date? How is it empowering? How is it real and raw? How is it connectable with others? How does it tell the story and show the lineage of where you came from and got to with the support of others? It's like looking at the whole story, the whole truth, not just our interpretation of our emotional state that was evoked at the hands of something that we didn't choose. This is a time where we also get an opportunity to grow up a little more deeply. Meaning, I know that may sound harsh, so allow me to explain. Meaning that when we get to come to terms with the truthness of who we are, the reality of a thing, we're not hiding behind things. We're not like, scared of our dark and gonna hide in a corner from it and shrink away from who we are. We stand in our strength and our power, and we do our damnedest to not hurt others and to also show up and bring our fullness where it can serve a role, where it is valued, where it is seen and understood. And we are not always seen and understood. And there is this tribality connection that is also possible during this time. When we can compost through the betrayal into understanding and stopping the illusion of what we had that is our memory of the betrayal, and we can let ourselves see what is real and become raw with it, become real and raw. Yes, I know for some, feeling on a deep level is exhausting. It's true. It's one of the reasons why it's very helpful to do it on a purpose for a mission. Delve, get in, get what you're getting, and get out. Structure helps with that, because then you're not just diving into the oceanic depths and wading around without any scuba gear. No, you're going in with a map, a team, and scuba gear, and you know what you're doing. And there's still going to be unknowns every step of the way. We may think we know what we're doing, but again, let's not be too clever for our own britches, right? Because next thing we know, we're going, oops. And if we just hold that in our memory the whole time, we don't have to eat crow as we go. And we may still have to. Learning how, and here's another practice, learning how to say, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. My apologies. And this apology being a thing that comes deeply from a place of having been transparent with your intentions, genuinely not meaning someone else harm, and a willingness to be able to see how your actions affected them. Because without that ability, we don't have the capacity to be able to really repair with another. Those walls of broken trust still lay as rubble in the midst of the ground that we are trying to share with another and or with ourselves. Wherever we are triggered in these ways is where we have rubble. I have rubble. I can feel it. I can feel it clearly. I know what I'm doing on Monday. I know that I'm spending some deep time with myself. I know I'm going to have my books and I'm going to allow my writings to happen. I know I'm going to have music that is provoking to me, that makes me cry, that makes me feel. And I'm simply going to allow myself to feel while at the same time, gently and continuously, over and over again, asking, where am I feeling this? What is it telling me? What am I feeling? How am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? And what is it telling me? Because each of those pieces, like I might say, oh, I feel sad. But if I go, where am I feeling this? I might go, I feel it in my chest. And what does it feel like? Oh, it feels heavy. It feels hard to take a deep breath. And so I feel like stuck at the end of my breath. And there's almost this like weighted sensation, like grief in my chest. Why? Oh, it's been there for a long time, years and years of life and things. And, you cry and you cry, but they don't go away. Griefs don't disappear. Other things grow around them. And then at certain times of life, those griefs get heavier and heavier. And then, oh my goodness. And then, you live through things that are actively happening in the world, compounding every single day, affecting so many people. We get to have an understanding of what it is to feel and hold this kind of grief. Running away from it is a spiritual bypassing. Being stuck in it continuously will starve and drown us. We need to be able to find a way to nourish ourselves in this time, in this process. How are we tending the vessel? Now, this vessel might be the vessel of our bodies. It might be the container of a moment. It might be the container of a ritual, ceremony. Ceremony and ritual during this time is really powerful as well. Honoring the movement of what is happening, honoring that transformational state of existence that is moving through this time, through us, through our stories, through our experiences, through our mind palace, through our thoughts, through our emotions. They are each powerful catalysts. We have this time to become more deeply aware and sovereign inside of our own emotionality, to increase our emotional power through discovery and rewiring, peeling back layer after layer of things that we've just overwritten, overruled, and said, no, 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 that's just the way that is. No, we get to peel this back. It's like, I heard someone refer to it as soul surgery, and I really liked that phrase. Where have we given our power away? Where has our power been taken away, lost, stolen, taken, sacrificed, traded? Going into it, understanding why, understanding how, tending that lost part of yourself that was not okay then. Tend that parts of yourself there. Let that rawness heal in that moment from what happened there. Then allow yourself to be filled and full. This is the next practice. Expansion. When you're at the point where you've gone through this deep emotional role, you've cried and shedded the tears, you've felt this, and you're sitting there kind of in that raw truth of who you are, of what you went through and what that meant for you on a cellular soul being, that truth inside your isness beginning to expand into and allowing more energy to flow into your being. This is like, you feel invited to join me in this if you would like, or you may simply listen. You could be sitting in your chair and you might be, feeling really raw if you've had the moments of that purge, and then you begin to go, okay, consciously inviting in and with your breath and with your body, drawing and inviting new energy to come coursing up through your body and down through your head, up through your feet, in through your hands, in through your fingers, into your eyes, through your mouth, nourishing your voice, pouring into your lungs, nourishing the wet, drowning lungs of grief, diving in through your liver, cooling the heat and inflamed anger, moving the fluids in your body, feeling it rise and move, feeling it move through your nervous system, calming and soothing, pulling that anxiety away, and bringing instead curiosity around communication. Moving up into the head, soothing the mind, moving through all parts of the cells and into those interdimensional spaces where that soul spirit resides, and nourishing that as well. Assessing what pieces might be missing, what more might want to be called back over the times to come. It's never-ending work. Consistently checking in. Your physical body's auric energy, your soul spirit's connection to those interdimensional spaces. And breathing and drawing more life force through and allowing it to just ever so gently push against the edges of the container that is the inside of who you are, like the inside of a shampoo bottle. Allowing it to stretch and fill a little more and a little more with each breath. Allowing your mind to soften and your understanding to bloom and to just be with that expanding sensation. You might feel different things. You might feel your little hair standing on end. You might see or hear or sense things a little bit differently as your awarenesses become tuned, as different parts of yourself begin to be turned on and activated and enlivened by connecting with more than only your mind. Our minds are treasured things, and they by themselves are not enough. We have a full spectrum thing that we get to rise into. And one of the pathways is through the experiences that we feel that are painful. And so going where it is painful, even though everything in our body goes, no, I'm not going there. Going there anyway, on a purpose for a mission, inside of a structure that you get to experience the unknown with. It's the way that I have found that works for me. It helps me to let it burn, to help me let the moment become revealed, to let liberation to step in, and also that I get to find ways to return back to myself. And then it's about keeping it there. It's about continuously making a home inside of ourselves where that part of ourselves that we've invited back feels at home and gets to play out its life and its mission and its way of being, because all facets as part of ourselves are also who we are. This is what it means, in my understanding, to be a multidimensional kind of being, is that I might be one person, but I have multiple facets. And inside that butness is the importance of understanding that I have multiple facets. And by not understanding that, I've bypassed something that's deeply valuable and important in my world. By not understanding my own multiplicity, my own facets and aspects, I can have a much harder time in understanding why someone could be pissed at me and I could not understand why. I might have a harder time being able to adjust to the current trends that are changing in the environment around me, socioeconomical, political, etc. And it might shift and change how I'm able to relate with the world around me. Being able to be in a place of exploratory learning where we are open to healing through how we act and how we behave. and how we fight, how we flee, how we freeze, how we fawn, how we do all of the responses and reactions that are part of the programming that we got through the conditioning that life gave us as an experience. Right? When we can loosen up around the seriousness of it all. How do I say this in a gentle way? We all go through shit. That is not to diminish the pain of someone when they are going through shit. We all go through shit. We get it. We also all go through shit. So there's a part where it becomes less personal, even though it might feel very, very personal. This whole process that I'm talking about is in some ways about depersonalizing. It's personalizing so much that it becomes less personal. It's like having flipped through the other side. And I don't think you get to experience that unless you keep going. This is one of those places where you're only really going to experience that if you're going the whole way. And I mean like 100%, like 99.5%, 0.8%, 0.9%. It's not going to cut it. It's got to be the whole way. And wherever that's hard, that's your gold mine. Beneath all the lead and the experience, of course. So I think I want to wrap up right there, leave you with those practices. I invite you to share comments, share messages in the comments around, do any of these practices resonate for you? How are they? Have you tried any of, if you try any of them, I'd love to hear how they go for you. There are a great many resources around. There's some links down in the description around places where you can connect in a deeper way. We have a meeting of the crossroads once a month that comes up at the end of the month, generally speaking. We get together and we do a transit together and we talk about it, and we have open discussion time, and if something like that feels enjoyable for yourself, you can feel welcome to join us. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a wonderful week.